So at this time, I'd like to open the April 23rd, 2019 Board of Public Works meeting. And I would ask if anybody is recording this meeting.
Yes, Bob Tadian for Public Works.
Thank you, so noted. And you're obviously the representative for the town recording it. So the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of meetings. The meeting 3/18/2019. I've had a chance to look at them. So, I forgot to call the roll, excuse me. So the roll, myself, Tom O'Brien, Phil Bear, Mr. Jelinas is absent tonight. So, Phil, have you had a chance to review these?
Yes.
Okay, so
I make a motion to accept.
seconded by necessity, all those in favor? All right, next item on the agenda, the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. Tonight we'll be doing our second reading for the town council at 6:30 p.m. at the Council on Aging. This is the final reading for the Stormwater Enterprise Fund. I'm not sure if the council will be voting to approve that or take it under advisement based on comments by the public. I'm assuming if not tonight, hopefully by the next meeting. I believe this is supposed to be completed, the enterprise fund language, if it's going to be adopted by June 1st. Tom, do you remember if that's correct? I think it's by June 1st. So anyways, we'll see what transpires tonight. Any questions? Our last meeting was our first reading. There was no questions at all from the public, so hopefully things will go well. The next item on the agenda, or on my superintendent's report, is the Parks Division Maintenance and Standards book. So over the past few months, there's been field committee established for the town. A lot of residents want to see our fields kept in better shape. Instead of just coming up with arbitrary numbers and dollar figures, I've actually started a maintenance manual, inventory of all our fields, the condition of all our fields, our staffing requirements, what we actually do now. So it's a work in progress, it's a draft, but I think it's going to give us and the town some great information in order to move forward with our parks and our athletic fields.
Is that going to be your project?
Yes, this is my project. I actually, like you said, there's a field committee obviously in place in order to support obviously the DPW moving forward, to come up with some scenarios and some dollar figures which I presented to the council. It's in your packet, a rough look at the department's equipment and employees and everything else. So they did receive this at our I believe the last meeting I was attending when reviewing our budget. So we'll see how this is looked at and see if they make any recommendations to move forward with this. Like I said, it's going to take me a few months to put some of this documentation together, but it's a good start, and looking forward to moving forward.
That sounds great. I mean, I know personally that having children and coaching sports in this town, it's definitely an issue for me.
Yep.
And I know from hearing from other parents as well.
Sure. I'm actually, just so you guys know also, I actually just put a job posting on the UMass website for a intern in regards to turf maintenance and grounds maintenance. It's actually a science major, so I've actually put a posting out there to get somebody in here this summer that actually knows a little bit about some of these things. I mean, I know how to grow grass, but actually somebody taking some of the science and putting it into soil analysis and everything else that we need moving forward. So they're going to help me kind of look at what we have for our fields and each field and what they need for chemicals, lime, and pH and all that stuff. So we'll be looking forward to getting somebody on board to help with this project.
Just driving around and thinking about that subject, I've always thought that it'd be nice to get like a retiree who really takes a lot of pride in his lawn.
Sure.
And then I mean, it's just a thought.
Yep, absolutely. So like I said, in this draft document, I put together in front of the council two skilled laborers to help and assist with the Parks Department. As it is right now, we have 5 employees on the Parks Division. We have 1 foreman and actually just 4 skilled laborers that actually do the work. So it's a monumental task. We actually have 170 acres of grass to mow on a weekly basis. So a lot of that information is in here. So at your leisure, please take a look at it. It's going to be obviously a kind of a growing document as information is input into the document.
The only thing I would add to it, Bruce, is maybe you can talk to some of the other towns, you know, Long Meadow, Wilbraham and stuff like that, because we're all in the same boat as far as fields and upkeep of lawns and services. Is what is their process, and even to the point of soliciting the county agricultural to do some of this testing on soil and stuff, where I believe they provide some of those services, but in a sense you still have to have the staffing to be able to take the samples and all that, but I'm not sure if there's a chance here of maybe grouping together to request services, even to the point of buying supplies, fertilizer and whatever else you need as a group bulk buy.
We usually do group, or not group buying, but bulk purchasing through Site One that provides us all our fertilization. So they've actually given us some good pricing. We will look, obviously, moving forward to obviously get the best price moving forward, obviously maybe with other communities like you stated. So.
Yeah, because we're all in the same boat. We all have fields, and everybody wants to maintain great fields.
Yep, absolutely.
And I'm not sure what you do with the football field or a high school track field.
The track field that gets groomed actually by us once a year, and the school department is actually hired an outside vendor to come in and groom it. Also, professionally groomed. They kind of, when it comes to turf, it's a little more difficult, and you need to be kind of specific on.
Is that artificial turf over
there?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, yep.
You know,
So
currently mowing 170 acres.
Yes.
So
like you said,
order taking X amount of time, and then they literally got to turn around the next week.
Exactly. So, and that's where some of the preliminary information that we're putting together is coming from, based on all that information. So, it's not, I don't believe that we don't have enough equipment. We need to upgrade one of our mowers, but it actually comes down to staff, and it kind of reflects that in the document.
You still have the summer interns do most of that work, don't you?
Actually, they don't come on board till like June 1st, so until the summertime. So our busy season is fall and spring. Summer is obviously, there's not much as far as athletic fields, but some of the old work orders or any of the other ancillary areas that we don't get during the season because we need to groom fields and everything else. We hit those during the summertime.
Yeah.
Especially the sides of the roads and everything else. Typically, that's when all those get overgrown. So, anyways, it's a moving document.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Go ahead. I'm good.
One of the items, I'm on another board, the Community Preservation Board, and they're currently talking about adding fields at Heritage. So does that have a breakdown of the cost per field, or?
Actually, so it actually in the beginning of the document it has all the existing fields, what they are, and then on the second half of that is recommendations. So based on, like you said, based on my preliminary analysis, what I think they need with a cost estimate attached to that. So moving forward, if people want to, or the department needs to look at this between recreation, and if this field is utilized a lot, they have a dollar figure to go by, and we can put in for capital requests. So I'm thinking also part of this document is putting a 10 to 20 year plan in place for recreation and the DPW to use and prioritize those according to the needs of the community.
Great.
So I'll keep you guys posted on what comes up, and we're going to move forward. Okay.
Anything else, Phil?
Well, that sounds good.
Okay. Next item on my agenda, I just want to keep the board in the loop. Our 2018 school facility improvement projects. On Tuesday, April 9th, our lead architects, Stefani and Bradley, closed their doors without warning or notification to the Department of Public Works. So over the last couple of weeks, I have reached out to DCAM, Division of Capital Asset Management through Boston, to get direction on how to proceed forward. They have never gone through this experience before, which I found surprising. So I ended up talking to the Attorney General's office. We have a sub-consultant, Tigan Bond, that actually is doing the lion's share of the work. So I finally got direction from them last week to move forward Tigan Bond instead of starting the process over. Our bid documents for Maple Shade School are about 80% complete. Meadowbrook School, the modular replacement project, was a little less work done on it. It's about 10% complete. So instead of starting the process completely over, the AG's office gave me the go-ahead to make Tigan Bond our prime and to get at least Maple Shade out to bid, hopefully in the next week and a half, and then subsequently after that to get the modular project going also. The only good thing about the modular project, the school department already knows going in, it's not going to be ready for school for next year. We've already determined that, even if it went out to bid today. So they're already making preparations moving forward that they're not going to be able to use those 4 classrooms for the next upcoming school year.
Do we owe them money, or conversely, do they owe us work?
Actually,
Where does that
we owe
stand?
them. I actually received a bill probably a couple days before they shut their doors in the amount of roughly about $10,000, and I did not pay that bill. So
Have they delivered anything to you?
no.
They haven't delivered anything to
No.
you, and they sent you a bill?
Yes. Yes. So they were, like you said, it was based on their sub-consultants' work,
Yeah.
not their work. So I wrote them a letter as of yesterday, it's in the mail today, stating that the town of East Long Meadow no longer requires their services based on the breach of the contracts and terms of the contract, just to cover the departments.
Was that a higher will, or was that out the bid?
That was part of the designer selection committee. So any project under chapter 149 that is over $100,000, we need to go through the designer selection process. So that's where the town collects RFPs or RFQs depending on the project, based on their qualifications and similar projects that we the town are doing. So we vetted, I believe we had 3 or 4 firms that submitted proposals. And Stefani Bradley, based on the projects we were doing, felt that they had the right qualifications. But unfortunately, their office closed, and now we're regrouping and moving forward.
What was the length of the relationship, time-wise?
Time-wise, we started in December with the preliminary kickoff meeting, and then, like I said, over the last month and a half, I've been reaching out to them because I wasn't happy with, obviously, the turnaround time on documents and everything else. And then finally, they just stopped contacting me. And so I actually got a call from another firm stating that they have closed their doors.
Well, we can't be the only ones.
No, and there isn't. There's actually some other projects that other firms are working on with them that are, I guess they don't know what to do moving forward. So at least we haven't expended any money. We got the okay to move forward Tigan Bond without starting the process over, and we're
Tigan Bond agreed to the terms that were.
yes.
Well, that's great.
Did you run everything by our town attorney?
Yes. Well, that's why I called the AG's office too, because he didn't know the answer to that. So when it comes to capital or procurement, typically the town's attorney really doesn't get involved. They get involved with contracts and things like that,
Well, sure,
language.
there's verbiage in the contract.
So that's
too.
why I called Division of Capital Asset Management from Boston, and then the AG's office to get direction on this. Other than that, I have nothing else for the board this evening.
Well, thank you. Any
Yep.
other comments?
No, I think you're doing pretty good, Bruce.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So this time we'll hear from Tom Christensen on the next item on the agenda, which is the Chapter 90 road paving.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, that's all I got tonight. I'm looking to get your approval, blessing on our Chapter 90 paving list. We ended up getting another $580,000 in change from the state. And this is our list of roadways that we came up with. They're all in pretty rough shape. And this is as far as the money goes. Pease Road is not in as bad a shape as Parker and Prospect, but we had a water main break this winter, maybe February, Felix, I don't remember. That's going to require a possible rebuild of at least 100 feet of that roadway. It undermined the pavement pretty good, and we're going to have to do a full depth reconstruction there. And because we're so close to Shaker and the road kind of needs it anyway, we're just going to go down the hill, and we're trying to piece these things out so we can make the money kind of move every year and try to get. So the Parker Street section is sort of one of three. Hopefully we can get down to Meadowbrook Road in the next 2 or 3 years. Same with Prospect, get to the Connecticut line in a couple years. And unfortunately, the funding is always the issue, and we're trying to spread it around as best we can.
Yeah, this has been a tough year. Had an extraordinary amount of rain.
And we're still also waiting, this is obviously, we need a motion from you guys to approve this list, but the council still has our request for another $600,000 for road improvements. So until we receive that or get some kind of direction, if they're gonna approve any kind of monies for paving the roads here in East Long Meadow, we will share that information with you once it becomes available.
Was it 600 or 1.2 million?
600,000, but the one of the council members wanted to up that dollar figure and double it in order to try to play catch up with some of our paving, some of our deteriorated streets that we get called on frequently. But like you said, the money doesn't go too far. So hopefully with some of that extra money, if the council decides to approve it, some of these side streets and other areas that don't get a lot of traffic, we can hit a couple of those and hopefully, get caught up a little bit on some of our paving.
You got crews devoted full-time right now to patching, or?
Yes, patching, potholes. I believe potholes were almost caught up on. There's still a few that I think came up with the rain, but he'll be gearing up pretty soon to start doing berm replacement and loam and seeding.
I know that Maple Street's been rough, but you got the construction along with the.
Yeah, that's going to be on our list. So obviously we have a rather extensive list, and then we have other things like water main replacements and more work, so we can't, we're kind of scheduling these things out a couple years so we can replace the water, and then a couple years later try to do a pave. And we're going to try to get Maple Street down to the center in the next year or so, followed by a pave from the limits of the work at the Long Meadow line, and then we'll take that all the way to the center, hopefully within the next couple of years.
Great.
So North Main.
We are actually, because of the size of that project, and like you said, we do look for other funding opportunities for the town moving forward, and this is in the shape of a TIP project. So Mr. Christensen put together a complete streets. I believe we have to be a complete street designation for the town. Yeah.
So we gotta, that's part of it, and then this is more, the TIP is a federally funded, so the feds fund 80% and the state does the additional 20. From the center to the Springfield line on North Main, we're estimating around $10 million. So if we can make the investment of, say, $400,000 to $500,000 for design and get selected as a project, then we get all that work done for a minimal investment. So we're kind of going, they have a sort of an interface on their website where you see how many boxes you check for a project. Then they vote on which projects they're going to do all over the state, and then it's a 5-year process to be honest.
Is it true to state or true to federal government?
Feds.
It's true to
Is that
feds.
the only
So
streets that applies?
So the feds fund most of it, but the interface is all through Mass DOT.
Oh, it is.
Okay, so you're basically running the project through DOT. Who's going to run the project anyway? They're going to have a resident engineer on site the entire time. But then they get money from the feds for these projects to fund them. And obviously, North Main's a pretty main corridor at this point. I mean, we got a lot of people using that road, and we got the senior center, we got Heritage Park, we got Big Y. So it's kind of a good one for connectivity, and like I said, we check a lot of boxes, and hopefully, again, we'll probably have to do some minor repairs to the road in the interim, because 5 years more on North Main is not gonna lend very well. So we'll keep an eye on North Main. Obviously, unfortunately we have about a $15 million backlog of pavement work to do, and we get $600,000 a year. So, but these ones, Parker and Prospect, we probably dump at least 20 ton of asphalt in these bad areas a year. And
Town wide or just those?
Just those two roads.
Just the
Yeah.
corridors?
That Prospect by Fernwood
Yeah.
is
Prospect by Fernwood?
no
Parker.
Parker by
Yeah, I was just
Fernwood.
saying.
Sorry,
That whole section needs to
Yeah.
be replaced.
right. And Prospect by the water tower is also
Yep.
a main one. So that's why those two are on here. Regardless of whatever other funding we get, these two are never going to leave the list.
Till it happens.
Yeah, I mean we have to. They're in serious disrepair. So, and Pease unfortunately got on the list because of the water break, and we kind of cut that section out and paved it, but like I said, the base and the
It's a patch job.
it's not gonna
Where's the water
last.
break?
It's not,
Coming up the hill from Summers, about maybe 1,200 feet up,
yeah.
1,500 feet up, just before you get to Redden Drive, where the first
Right.
Redden Drive comes out. So, anywho,
Alright.
That was done last winter. Last winter?
Redden, we did that last
Last winter?
what?
When that water main break?
Yeah, February,
February.
something
February?
like that. Yeah. So, anywho, that's I don't know if you have any questions
Solid
on.
chapter 90.
Yeah,
That's all we got.
that's our
Sounds like, yeah.
that's all our budget at this point.
When is the town council gonna be voting on whether we get 600 or anything?
I think the deadline for budget and capital projects is May 1st. I think. I'm not sure.
That's next week.
I'm not sure. I know they're gonna be discussing it tonight at the meeting.
So the timeline is this,
This is set in stone.
Separate,
This is
yeah.
this is separate from our capital request.
This is
This
just
is state funded money.
This is just
Yeah.
this will be reimbursable projects, whereas if we get some money from the town, we can sort of spend it as we see fit without the criteria of
Right.
the state's Chapter 90
Yes.
program.
Right.
Meaning, we can pick a 100-foot section and mill it and
Right.
pave it.
Right.
Where Chapter 90, you gotta be 500 feet. There's more criteria to Chapter 90, whereas if we just got a pot of money for paving, we could kind of go around and do what we
Spread
need
it.
to do.
Yeah. Spread it.
Within reason. I mean, we're not going to
Yeah.
get a very good price if we do 50 feet of pavement in
All over
100
the
spots all
place.
over town. It's not. But, so,
the
We gotta-
percentage, so I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, Tom.
The percentages we work with, are they relative to other towns? I mean, do you
It's-
dictate the percentages?
No, it's based on the mile of road you have in your town.
It's,
Yeah. It's
And population.
and yeah,
There's a
there's
couple
a few
of-
so they're
different
set in
things.
stone.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't request anything more. It's
Right. So, I
If you
can't
choose to spend more out of our budget,
yeah. So
yeah,
like
so
you
a
said,
lot of
every
communities.
town's in the same boat.
yes.
Right. But a lot of communities supplement their Chapter 90 budget so that they can do more, because they need to do more.
Right.
Because the roads, you'll never keep up
Right.
if you
No,
only
that's a
use this
funded-
amount of money.
Highway paving.
You know,
For
do
years.
they measure like amount of cars traveled?
I don't think so.
That's-
We have, like it seems like,
right.
I mean, it's
Right,
probably
right.
because I drive through it every day.
Right. Right.
We have some serious choke points.
Right.
We have suburban traffic jams.
Right. I don't think it's based on any of that. Like you said, population,
Population.
length of roads, and
Right. There's one other thing. I want to say it's something to do with average income. So affluence and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's a difficult situation we're in.
Yeah, it sounds it. And it's such a thing that the DPW is judged on.
It is,
Yeah.
it's, that's.
The average homeowner only looks at the services from the town for
Right.
a few
Plowing.
items. Plowing, the street.
Potholes.
Potholes, the road
You know,
condition, the schools.
Yeah, the
Right.
schools.
And that's
And
how.
that would include the fields.
Right, right.
Other
And
than that, most people are blind to,
Right.
all the other
All of
support services are behind the scenes,
Sure.
to be honest with you.
Yep.
And at the rate of funding, $600,000 towards the road replacement when we get 110 miles of roads.
Mm-hmm.
Once
Yeah.
every 50-year turnover is not gonna cut it.
The backlog will be 20 million in 5 years.
Right. So this is why, like you said, I don't believe any other DPW regime has actually ever put any road paving projects on the capital list, as far as I know. So
So the only thing,
smaller
None
projects.
of
Right.
On a large scale.
so the only other thing you can do is have some of these plans of the projects that you may have in case the federal government comes out with an infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
funding that may free up some money and
Well,
first
that's
come,
why,
first serve.
like you said, that's why we're trying to get, for next year, we're probably gonna have to put a design in for the North Main Street corridor in order to start that process, so we can get that whole corridor. And not only will they be paving, it'd be sidewalks, bike lanes, they'll upgrade all our traffic equipment, signals, everything. So I think it's a good project, but we're gonna have to wait a little while for it, so.
Wouldn't it be
We
bad
need
to
to
talk,
start the process though now.
wouldn't it be bad to talk to Congressman Neal, being on the Ways and Means Committee,
Sure.
about infrastructure
Right.
funding from the
Right,
federal government, because I'm sure he would have some insight on what's gonna come down the line.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they're getting plenty of feedback to the point where, like last year, we got an extra 20%
Right.
of Chapter 90 money.
Right, I remember.
But
Right.
you know, $120,000 is again
Right.
a couple
Right.
thousand feet of road. You know, so I mean, it's good. We'll take
Yeah,
it.
right.
We'll take
Right.
it. But
Drop in the bucket.
yeah, we're just because of the historical funding, and that's been our entire paving budget for as long as it's been going on. We're behind. We're gonna try to catch up.
Is that everything?
That's it.
The
Thank
deputy
you.
superintendent's report?
That's it.
Can you guys, if you would like to recommend the Chapter 90 list for the town manager's sake?
Oh, I thought that okay.
This is
You
part
need,
of,
uh,
yeah.
I
Need
make
a
a
vote
motion
from
to
the
accept
board.
the Chapter 90 paving list.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tom. So the next item on the agenda is the deputy superintendent's report.
And I don't have anything else for you this evening.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your blessing. Shit.
So next up, water and sewer administrator's report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We started our town-wide water main flushing yesterday. We're about halfway done. I expect it to be done by the end of the week. Hopefully it'll increase the water quality to a better level. That's the whole intent of the project. We started our clear water disconnect program. Getting some good results, some upset customers.
Give a brief explanation of that again.
It's a removal of sump pumps and whatnot from our sewer system. Right now, there's just too much groundwater going into our sewer system, and we have to pay for it. Springfield loves it, but we don't. Our sewer bill to Springfield is just outrageous. We need to get rid of the water. It's an illegal hookup, it's against plumbing codes, it's not supposed to happen, and there's a lot of them in town.
It's part of our, it's on our town bylaws that it's not, it's illegal.
It's illegal.
How many have you contacted?
Some of these people have no other
200.
option.
A lot of people don't know.
209,
209 you contacted? How many responded back to you?
maybe 30,
How long do they have to?
6 months.
6 months?
Well, it's people, it's a seasonal thing. They do it for,
Mhm.
well, right now, probably everybody's pumping.
Right.
So much rain.
So like you
Right
said, and we're not here to get people upset or anything else, we're just educating the residents. Felix has gone out, giving them directions on how to replumb their sump pumps or whatever their connections are. Like you said, we're not here to be the bad guys, we're just trying to educate people and obviously in the long run, hopefully save money for our water and sewer bills. So specifically sewer, obviously, by reducing that inflow and or illegal connections.
Do you go yourself or do you?
Yes, I go myself.
How many people have given you a tough time?
3 really,
Out of how many?
of the 30 or so that I've
So
spoken
10%?
to.
You should probably have 2 people go out rather than just send alone.
I'm a big boy.
I know you are,
Well,
but there's a reason.
sure. Gotcha.
Not to say you want to get in arguments, but,
No, there's no arguing.
okay.
I won't argue with people.
No, you shouldn't.
No.
You know, I encounter this a lot, and I don't know what the answer would be, because water's water. It's got to go somewhere.
Right.
And you know, if you live in a high water table area, you know, you literally, I suppose you could divert it, but you're gonna basically just
Recycle.
keep recycling it. Right? I've seen some neighborhoods, not in this town, that there's just no answer.
Right.
There's literally with this MS4.
Well,
it's like a,
and like I said, depending on the situation, we will modify their connection or what have you based on the situation. There's some residents that live on a site that's a big giant hill, there's no way to get rid of the water or there's nothing close enough. So in some cases, if need be, based on our full assessment, may allow them to tie into our stormwater system or something along those lines, depending on the situation. But it cannot be into our sewer system.
so water, currently stormwater that's diverted into private or public lands, and then, you know, filters back into nature.
Those
You-
are
you can-
wetlands.
Yeah, you can't add to those. You can't alter those.
No, but like I said, by piping out to daylight onto your property, so obviously the water soaks back into the ground naturally.
Oh,
That's-
what I'm saying is so we have water diverted into private or public lands, and so we're not paying for that stormwater.
Right.
Is there any opportunities to maybe divert some of our water into these pre-existing,
Catch
you know,
basins.
obviously, yeah, maybe the ones that go into the public land,
Right,
where they're not gonna, maybe they just increase the
yeah.
water in the wetland.
Right, I really don't know the answer to that. Typically, we don't get involved with that in any way, shape, or form. If
So
there's-
it's just everything that's pre-existing.
Yes,
There's no town to your knowledge, there's no adding or subtracting going on.
into our wetlands.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
trying to understand what you're trying
well,
to.
so we have water diverted in different areas of town
Mhm,
onto public and private property. I mean, it's pre-existing.
okay.
So,
If it's a public
What's to
way
say
or
that-
You
public.
mean pipe conveyance and outfalls into?
yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Oh, see, I didn't hear.
Yeah.
So, is there any law against
Hooking up to that.
adding to that?
I mean, obviously,
It's pre-existing, I mean.
of course, but,
And
and this is the real problem is, as part of the MS4, we're not allowing sump pump connections,
Right,
hard connections.
If you have a
into
sump
the
pump in your house and you have an oil tank in your basement and it leaks, it gets into your sump pump, now you pump it into the brook.
that's what I mean. This is why.
I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
outside the
No, of
box.
course,
What
this is
are the
our-
opportunities, because believe me, I you know, been in neighborhoods in Agawam where they have a high water table. They're in a valley,
Sure.
and when the valley starts filling up,
Mhm.
that water is literally just recycled.
I have 3
Right.
sump pumps
So-
in my basement that run constant.
Okay, so you have a water,
And I
a
pipe
channel
them
that
out
goes
to daylight,
across.
I just pipe them out to daylight.
So we are allowing, as part of the MS4, if you're on a site that you can't daylight without either recycling the water or causing a hardship on an abutter,
Right,
we're allowing an overland connection to go into a catch basin, and then it can get connected to the stormwater.
right.
Okay, so at that
Also,
point,
it's a permittable,
yeah. So
allowance.
basically, you're letting the water wash itself over land, and then
First.
going into a catch basin, and then you can put it in.
Right.
So basically, you've cleaned the water
Clean the water
to
before-
as much as you can, and then we'll accept that water into our system.
how many circumstances like that are there?
That's been my recommendation to at least 2 sites at this point. But we don't have as many. See, the problem with the stormwater side of it is we're not doing inspections in their basement to find out where these sump pumps are going. The sewer, we do it all the time because we're in their basement, we're doing meters or whatever, so we can notice this stuff when we're in there.
Right.
Stormwater, if you have a sump pump connected to a catch basin, we're really not going to know until we do an inspection of that catch basin.
Which will be
Which,
completed in
At
3
that
years.
point, it could be a foundation drain, which is allowed.
Right,
So this is all the investigation work and all the money we need for this MS4.
right.
All these inspections and investigations are happening, simultaneously. And so when Felix is trying to get the water out of the sewer, he can't tell them that they can put it in the stormwater without doing it right. So,
So the most important thing is to keep an open mind and try to work with the homeowners.
Yes.
100%.
To
Oh, yeah,
give
definitely.
them the most opportunist way to
Yes,
accomplish the goals of the project,
absolutely.
with the most inconvenient
Yeah, less inconvenient as
effort
possible,
as
yes.
possible. That's what we're really here for to
Yep.
some degree, but at the same time, meet the requirements that you're doing.
Yep.
Required
it's
to do.
it's really hard to tell somebody who's had a sump pump for 50 years that all of a sudden they can't do what
Right.
they're doing with it.
Right. And this is all education.
And not
This-
giving them
Right.
a place to go.
Right.
And this is gonna
I-
take
I agree.
years,
Yeah.
years to get, put in place, so.
And you have the YouTube videos on site now?
Yeah, we do
Customer
have all that,
education?
yep. All those videos, I did a video with
They're awesome.
LCAT, 3 videos on the Clearwater Disconnect Program. So all the information's out there. I've been trying to educate the residents that look at it. So, and like you said, we're here to answer questions. We're not here to find people or anything else. We're just trying to obviously eliminate.
Most people that are confused when I talk to them on the phone, when I go meet with them and we go over it,
Right,
it's resolved, they understand.
yeah,
Okay.
What can I do with it? Well, this is
Right.
how you need to get rid of the water, dry wells.
right,
You got a swamp in your backyard, pipe it out.
Right.
There's ways to do it.
right.
Okay.
Yep.
As long as you're working with them.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
That's a key.
Yeah, we're not sitting, this is how this is what you need to do and this is how you do it. No, we're not gonna be that way,
'Cause
like you said. Educate and give them different scenarios that they can follow.
Because it's gonna be a long process with 200
Yes, yeah.
plus homeowners.
And that's
Yeah,
just,
we also- yeah.
Tipping
It's gotta be very
That's-
frustrating for them.
yeah,
Right.
so 200 and there's 16,000 residents, so we haven't even touched half the town, so, anyways.
Okay.
Okay, I think we've cleaned that up pretty
Yeah.
good. Alright. Water and sewer administrator's done. Building facilities manager report.
Hi,
Hello.
started on Pine Knoll, gotta get that ready for the spring, they open that up. We have a project with they're remodeling the dispatch for the police and fire. So they gotta take everything out on one side, put it the other side, we have to go in.
The other
paint.
side of the police station?
Yeah, just temporarily, yeah. So they're redoing the existing dispatch area. So everything has to get moved to keep the dispatch in place, in working order. We go in, add a couple circuits, paint, switch some lights out, they move it back, and we do the other half, and just,
So the entrance stays the same,
Yeah.
it's just gonna be the communications
Right.
portion of it that's gonna,
yeah, well, so the problem is that there's, we're involved, the state is involved for the 911, the radio company's involved, the carpet guy's
Oh,
involved.
I bet it's-
bulletproof glass guy's involved.
Nowadays, it's.
Should be all right though. They have everything. It seems everything's scheduled pretty well, so it should go pretty smooth.
That starts next week?
Yeah, the 29th they remove the existing.
Okay.
The 30th we go in. Hopefully we're out by the end of the week. Then that gives the time for the 911 guys to get downstairs. We just got done installing a battery backup for. We have a generator, but there's also a battery backup for the 911 and for our server equipment, I guess we call it, right?
Yep.
And should go okay. No, yeah, we're
Yeah, it sounds
the
like
biggest
you
the
got
biggest
it.
part we have is the electrical, and it's I'm gonna say 85% done. Everything's in. There's some receptacles that are already mounted. We just have to wait for the console to be in to run 2 more circuits up into the new console. And we don't have an exact location for that yet, so we can't do it ahead of time. So that's got to be done after the console is installed. So that'll put all the radio, all the dispatch stuff will be on the generator as well as the battery backup. So the battery takes up for the 2 minutes between, or the minute between the generator.
Yep. Doing the transfer.
Nothing's occurring to the fire station.
Nothing. No, the dispatch is going to be at the police station.
And I don't know if you guys know, I believe in January, it may be sooner, Kelly, they turned over to civilian dispatch. I believe it's around the clock, 4 or 5 people that are running the civilian dispatch now at the police station, no longer officers.
Here, at our,
Yes,
Correct.
yes, it's all switched over.
are we just,
So
we
we're just
solely-
helping
we're
with the
not-
process, that's all.
wasn't there talk of doing it with
Hamden.
other communities, Hamden,
Yeah.
Long Meadow?
Yeah,
Regional dispatch.
yeah, regional dispatch, I don't believe that ever.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, it
Wasn't
didn't work
serious.
out,
Yeah.
so.
How about
So who's
any,
but, that comes
It's all,
out.
they have money for that,
The
yes.
dispatch is
We're
their
just
own department.
providing labor.
They're not police. They're not fire. They're dispatch.
Right. So,
Are they paying for this?
Yes, they are. Except for labor. Everything. That's a matter of fact. The lights just got delivered. That's who was at the back door. And upgrade the lights to LEDs instead of
fluorescence.
the kerosene ones that are there now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know what, now that you're saying all this, it's always been dim in there. And it hasn't changed in, when was that place built, in the 70s?
Yeah.
70s,
Yeah.
late
years.
60s, yeah.
50
Yeah.
I think a lot of that's a dispatcher's choice though, because of the screens and stuff.
Right.
I was talking to some of the officers who used to do the dispatching. They said it's very annoying with the lights. So these are going to be all LEDs on dimmers, so you can put them pretty much wherever you want. Get 'em-
Yeah, you know, now you say our dispatch center is more dimly
Yeah.
lit.
Probably. for the
Shades are all
screens and
pulled,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been staring at screens all night long.
Yeah, it's gotta tax your eyes.
And we've been working on this last week. Everybody was in the schools most of the week just because it was vacation to get a bunch of the work orders done at the schools. And then the clerk, we have to move the clerk's office on Monday. So we had one guy building a new reception counter for the clerk. So
The town clerk or the school clerk?
town clerk. He's
You're
being,
moving, where's his office? To the left of, or is,
oh, no,
his office is now, the town clerk's office is now gonna be the old HR office. So Tom will have his own office, his administrators will be in front of him in the town manager's office. It'll be, so the clerk and the manager will be in the same door. You know, you walk in the door, they'll both be in there.
yeah, I think the town hall's generally looking pretty good.
Yeah, so far,
Right.
yeah. The break room's done, the other bathroom's done. Waiting for 2 doors. The doors haven't shown up for some reason to replace the doors on the bathrooms now, but other than that, it's pretty squared away.
So the town clerk, the dispatch center, and the other,
Pine Knoll, like I said, all last week was all trying to catch up on school work orders because you get mixed reviews when you go in during the day in schools. Some people are very receptive to it, some people are not. You know, they want to get the work done. Other people, they don't want to you're infringing on their time, so
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
yeah, vacations work out good.
Where do you stand on Meadowbrook?
Which part?
Wasn't there new, you were making changes at Meadowbrook?
Yes, that's the part that the engineer quit.
Oh, that was that
Get it.
part, okay.
Same school, one Meadowbrook and Maple Shade.
Yeah,
Fortunately, the Maple Shade part, is mostly engineering.
Okay,
So the Ty and Bond can take care of most of that. Meadowbrook has a lot more architecture involved. So Ty and Bond is gonna kind of reach out to somebody,
okay.
to another architectural firm to get that squared away.
In the high schools, was there a pool area, the heaters, or what were you doing in the basement? In the
Bunch of different
pool
things,
area?
right?
Oh, no, the pool pump failed, then the sump pump failed.
Yeah.
So the sump pump's back in now.
Okay,
So it's just a backup sump pump in case. It's actually working pretty steadily now for the groundwater that's just coming through the foundation from underneath.
Yeah, I think the item that Phil was talking about is the heater.
Oh, the water heater.
That's gonna be put on our list.
That's gonna be a capital project.
It's still just leaking, it hasn't
Yeah.
failed yet, but
Yeah.
we're keeping an eye on it.
okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would like for you to do is go over anything new, and then tell me an update on everything that you talked about in the past. It would make it easier for me to follow things.
Okay.
In my own mind,
Mhm.
at this point, because there
Right.
seems to be a lot of projects,
Right.
and we don't wanna lose track of them. And we'd like to know where you are, as far as I'm concerned, where you are status-wise, and then going forward. So I'd like to see the anything new and anything old, or old and then new,
Sure.
in a scheduled report that you make. So
Until the project is closed out.
yeah, that way I can follow them and keep updated as far as where you stand on them. Because you got so much going on, Joe.
Yeah, you do.
It's tough to keep track of all of them, and they're different projects in the same buildings. And some of them are very costly.
Mhm.
And like most of them, they could be important in the long run.
Sure.
So, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think that we just keep band-aiding the high school as long as possible. And
Well, the problem with
Totally
being with the
get it.
high school is gonna be, can you wait 5, 6, 8 years? Because
Sure.
they're not even on the list.
Correct.
yeah, I think the bones are solid generally.
We may need a new roof in one whole section.
We do need a roof.
And
roof in one
so-
whole section.
I think we as a board gotta face up to the fact to the town council and the school committee and say, hey, if you need a whole section wing to have a roof done, you can't wait years of having water run on the children or on the teachers, and have them trying to teach in a classroom with water running down the walls.
No, you're absolutely right.
And-
7
and-
years, the process, correct?
Yes.
So-
And
And,
I did write Mr. Smith a letter, explaining some of my concerns for that facility. One is the roof and mainly the electrical
The electrical
system.
system's the other one.
So I do follow up, regarding some of these projects that the school committee doesn't recommend moving forward, and or that gets on the list or in front of the council. So I wrote Mr. Smith a letter just to state my concerns, so I can share that with you if you like. With the roof and the electrical system.
I have a concern with when you have water leaks and we're not gonna be doing anything for 8 to 10 years on a new school. You can't have water running and then you end up with mold problems. As much effort as you try to mitigate that, it's still there.
Mhm.
And it's disruptive in the present time when it's happening.
Sure.
Especially if you're a teacher and you're trying to teach a class, and students are more concerned about having to put up an umbrella or stay out of the puddles.
Yep.
You know, it's not conducive to having a good teaching environment, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't let it happen in my own house. Why would I even think about letting it happen in a school system?
Yep.
A school environment. It's unacceptable, as far as I'm concerned, and even the electrical system.
Yeah, I think Joe's on top of it. I mean,
I think I think it is, but I think we need to emphasize it to the
Yeah.
other boards that, hey, we understand that you may have a certain goal, but those goals being realistic are 8 to 10 years out, or 7 to 10 years out. We can't wait 7 years.
no, I think that they're pressing the state, but why? What are you thinking to maybe consider a rehab, a complete remodel?
We should at least be replacing one section, like Bruce is saying, on a wing.
I will share that with her, that letter with you, so you can read it. It states my concerns, and
Because it's gonna be a long time before those wishes that they're having is gonna come true. And every year that goes by, it's not gonna get any better.
I agree.
Well, safety is a big catchphrase, like you had just spoken about.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, having a safe teaching environment is primary.
Absolutely.
You know, and forget about all the other objectives and goals of having technology and all that. But if you don't have a safe environment or clean environment for a classroom,
Yeah,
It's
children
disruptive.
should be our number one priority.
you know, I could fix fields, but I don't want running water in a classroom environment. It's just totally disruptive. And in the long run, you could have other things fall off from it.
You know, now you're saying it, I can't think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head where right before they built new schools, you know, people were walking around water fields in the hallway.
Yeah, that's
Classical,
yeah, that's
there's a number of others.
it's
And it's sad that it comes to that point where you've got to like, literally have buckets in the hallway.
Right.
that's ridiculous in today's environment.
Yeah, great. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's about all I got.
Thank you. Highway and Utility Manager's report is up next.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you guys.
Familiar.
So in the Philly Stadium, due to all this week, we had, well, Monday and Tuesday, we had 10 people flushing to try to get that out of the way so we can move back onto the street stuff. The potholes they caught up a lot last week. 2 guys never got out of the truck last week. That's all they did was do potholes. Of course, there's some around still, but they did a good job knocking out a lot of them that were in the work order system. We have another, because now they're doing all these catch basin surveys when they clean them. Now we have, I believe there's 60 in the work order system that need to be rebuilt. Anywhere from tops to
To be
complete.
rebuilt?
Yeah,
Built.
anywhere from tops to right down to the base. So I have a crew starting on that starting tomorrow. They're going to be doing mostly catch basins, just start repair on those.
And then once you get in there, you don't know. What
They
you
have
gonna find?
they have some information from the survey that was done when they clean them out.
So this kind
How
of
far it spreads.
correlates with the MS4.
Right.
So
It's all
this
part
is
of
how
it.
you find your problems are required to, and it's kind of an arbitrary number, but we're supposed to be cleaning at least 1/3 of our catch basins or have them all cleaned by year 3.
Right.
So part of this process obviously is doing the cleaning. So when you're doing the cleaning, part of our survey 1, 2, 3 program, when they're doing the cleaning, is to do an inspection, which is required, part of our reporting. How many inverts and pipes are in there, the size of the pipes, the depth of the sump, all that information is put into our system, and then it links with our GIS system. So it actually can tell you when it was cleaned, and then obviously once we do the repairs, when it was repaired. So it's a lot of information, a lot of new daily operational things that we need to do, but I think it's a good thing in the long run that we're looking at all these things.
How many sewers are in town?
Catch basins.
Catch basins.
3,200.
Is there that many? 32.
So, and the permit requires us to have no catch basin more than 50% full. So obviously we're not going to know the schedule of cleaning until we
Go George.
try to do them all,
Mhm.
and then we'll see how long that's going to take. I'm guessing, 4 or 5 years.
I was gonna say, what's the average time of doing one?
To clean it, it all depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes the covers won't come off. Sometimes it could be an hour. Sometimes it could be 4 hours.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be 20 minutes. Cover comes
Yeah.
off. There's not much in it. Beautiful. Take a look, measure it, check the inverts, move on. Other times-
Probably 8 or 10 a day if everything goes all right.
8 to 10 a day. You have 3,200 of them to do?
So you already pretty much know the lay of the land. From doing them, you know which ones are going to grab more than others. And
We're
is it
getting
indicative of like?
Well, they haven't been
pipe
done in
failure?
so long too, and we're not using as much sand, so we're hoping with all this coming together, we won't have to clean them as much. Because I mean, almost all of them that we go to that have never been done are full, right up to the invert.
And part of
So-
that permit requirement too, they don't want us using sand anymore. They want us to use strictly salt or something along.
Which
Which
is
is
why
con-
we
which
have
is
to
concrete.
rebuild all the catch basins.
You're adding,
You can't
when you're
win.
using
Yeah.
sand, you're adding
Right.
sediment to the system.
Right.
But on the other
Surprised you
hand,
don't
we're
call
using
plastic
salt,
ones.
which is
Yeah, right.
deteriorating the system.
Can you feel our pain now?
So this is, we're just, it's gonna be a constant
Right.
cycle.
Oh, wow.
Stainless
If you
steel
guys
catch
have any
basins. let's do it.
suggestions, please let me know.
Legos.
So,
Yeah.
anyways. Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, so they're gonna be
Yeah.
working on the catch basins pretty steady now for, until the water main project comes up, and then the other crew will be probably starting paving. After the catch basins are fixed, they'll be repairing the tops, repairing the road, and then they're gonna start an berm and loom pretty soon, probably next week,
Yeah.
once we get all the flushing done. And the parks, we try to keep 5 guys on the parks, gonna try to keep an extra guy in the parks just to appease their, to keep the fields in better shape.
Yes.
The berms, is that by complaint generated? Or is that
Complaint and by, gets hit by the
ob-
plows, and it
observance?
gets torn up by the plows.
Yeah, typically, early spring when we're kind of in between seasons, we go around and obviously pick up all the berm and obviously make work orders as we're picking it up.
That's what I figured. I've seen it clean the storm drains anyway, the past week or so.
We're out there.
Yeah, they're pretty regular.
Doing it.
It's, like I said, it's gonna be something we're gonna be doing
That's a lot.
every single day.
Lot of it. You tell me you're trying to do 1,000 of them?
Well, that's again that the old permit was a third of the basins every year. The new one is we're not even really sure what our schedule is going to be. Whatever we have to do to hit that less than, we may go back to a catch basin in 2 years and there's nothing in it, so we don't have to clean it.
Right.
So and then we'll get our schedule and then we'll.
But the system you're recording when you do this work, so you're gonna have, you'll have a printout of which ones have been done at what time
What
frame.
time, when it was rebuilt, what
So
the
it is a
condition
case of
was,
go back to
everything.
when
No
it-
paper, Phil. It's
No
on the
paper, it's
computer.
all
Right.
digital.
Right, should be easy to get,
Yes, so.
Yeah.
as
It's
far
all-
as scheduling.
Yeah,
Yep.
so this obviously by moving to this platform on our survey 123, linking to our GIS, so when it comes to reporting, obviously you're just printing out documents for the DEP and the EPA, which you
Yeah, which I didn't.
so dearly love, so.
You know, it'd be interesting to see what those details will spit out and what you'll discover from it.
Sure.
You know, like failing pipes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
there's going to be
It's
some,
part of this
some
whole
good stuff
process.
that comes out of this.
Absolutely.
Well, and like I said, this goes in hand with our grant that we received. We've already done our water asset management plan to evaluate our existing water infrastructure, pump stations, our pipes, our ages for our water system. Now we're moving into sewer and our stormwater system. So between all that information and our, obviously developing our sewer capital asset management plan and our asset management plan for our stormwater. So, like you said, it's all gonna kind of hopefully mold together, so we have some great information moving forward.
Yeah, having the correct data to do your scheduling planning will make the job a lot easier in the future. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
And help you plan out and be able to know what resources are needed to tackle certain issues and timing.
Yep.
You only have so much time between April and November
Right.
to do some of this
Right.
stuff. I'm not so sure even to the point of whether you have internal resources or contracted services to do certain things. You might want to look at that in the future, given the amount of 3,200 storms.
Yep.
You know, on a temporary basis, just to catch up and have a starting base point to say, okay, at this point we know they're all done. Then it's a case of maintaining them
Right.
with the data information that you have. So
Sure.
it may not be unreasonable to think about contracted services.
When it comes time, absolutely.
You know, instead of doing it with in-house,
Sure.
because you'll probably never get there with in-house, given the time frame.
Right.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
There's a lot, yes. Like I said, the department's evolving with all these requirements, so you can see what we do on a daily basis, and like you said, that's why we're requesting at least a single employee for the stormwater side to obviously accumulate and to track some of this data, to make sure it's done right and out in the field and everything else. So, because obviously we can't be everywhere out in the field.
It might not be bad to have a summer intern do the loading of this data
I'm
and
taking-
having somebody else that's a worker out in the field doing the work.
We do
That knows what
have.
they're doing on the storm drains rather than having them on a desk typing
Right.
data in.
Right, well, like you said, we're gonna get 2 more interns in this year, this summer. It's cheap labor, they're gonna go out and test more outfalls, so,
That too.
so
There's
that's our
a
plan.
lot of areas on a temporary basis where you
Mhm.
either get summer interns or
Sure.
contract it out
Mhm.
to do a catch-up because you're just overwhelmed
Right.
to some degree
Right.
over the next 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
It's just a case of planning it,
Sure.
you know, and
Yep.
just a word to the wise.
Excellent.
Anything else, Joe? You
No,
know,
that's about it.
Any good news?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of catch bases done. The water flushing's almost done. A lot of the potholes been filled.
Sounds
Spring
good.
is sprung.
Yes, it has, finally. Just if the weather would cooperate a little better on our fields, they are soaking wet. The
Yeah,
grass is
that's-
growing, and we can't even get out there. We cannot get out there, and I'm sure we're gonna get,
They're gonna get chewed up,
and
yeah,
we went through this last year.
yeah.
We're doing what we can do, the amount of staff we have, the amount of equipment we have, and given the conditions of the weather and ground conditions, so please be patient.
We were actually out on the field the other day in the rain and
It's
I had them moving around just because they were chewing it up. Yeah.
So
To be
that's
honest-
the other
Yeah.
thing
To be
too.
honest with you, you know, I'm not sure who would want to be out on the field playing, because I know when I played in the school systems, I hated to run on a field
Mhm.
playing soccer or something, because I didn't want to pull a hamstring.
Should have been a modern day kid. You could do it all right here. We want to.
I remember one time I played in college where I think I must have, you know, hydroplaned for 40 yards.
Yep.
One time. You know, the only thing I would do is try to balance and not to pull Achilles tendon or something, or a hamstring.
Mhm.
You know, so I hated to be out on
Yep,
wet
yep.
wet grass trying to play. But then again, I have to say, some of these leagues and administrators, they need to go out there and start judging whether to postpone and delay stuff in the name of safety.
We get a
You know,
we get a lot of damage
Bruce
caused
has,
by.
Bruce has some
Yeah.
control over that.
I really don't.
The rec is
Rec
one.
usually the ones that make those recommendations based on our parks foreman
Right.
usually goes out
Right.
and lets the rec department, communicates well with the rec department on the conditions of the fields and everything else. We had 4 diamonds to get ready
Yep.
today.
Yep.
By the end of the day, we couldn't even get out there this morning. We went out and blew off the field in the morning and tried to get on those this afternoon. But he communicates directly with the recreation department based on the condition of the field.
Because you should keep an eye on that, just from a
So,
from a
like you
safety
said,
liability standpoint.
Well, and that's where the rec department comes in, makes those decisions, and necessarily they don't make always the right decision, and neither do we, but if you don't play on a field that is dry and everything else, you're gonna cause damage to it. So in the long run, it's more maintenance that we gotta do.
It's more
So,
maintenance, it's a possibility.
we do what we
of-
can do.
of People getting hurt,
Yeah.
kids getting
Right.
hurt. These are not professional players, these are kids that are local, and you should keep in mind that it's for their safety rather than just trying to get a game in
Mhm.
that's.
Right. Yeah.
At that particular level,
Sure.
you know.
Mhm.
I know people like to be involved in sports and
Mhm.
everything, but you shouldn't put kids in a situation of harming themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to make a correct decision,
Sure.
barring all the emotions.
Oh, I think generally they've been
I think they try to do
conscious
it,
of the fields and the.
but I've
Children
seen a few
out.
cases where it wasn't.
There is, and you're always gonna have those cases regardless. There's too many teams, too many coaches, and I mean, you get backlog too. 'Tis the season, obviously.
Yeah.
Spring showers and people get behind, and then they just get them all in regardless. So anyways, we'll work through it.
Moving on, Joe, you have anything else?
No, I'm
Or is
good.
that, well, thank you for that. So next item on the agenda is other business.
I have
Any
no other
other-
business for the board this evening, no.
Other business, so the next item would be scheduled next meeting. What do you think?
What do you think, Bruce?
I'm thinking, wait a couple months.
Well, capital, they should be doing next week, right?
Yeah, hopefully next week, so, maybe we could wait a couple of weeks and we'll see what the outcome of the town council meeting is our budget and our capital improvement plan, and I will shoot out an email to the board and, see what your pleasure is for our next meeting.
What do you think, last week of May?
I'm thinking around there,
Sounds like an excellent plan.
yeah,
to me.
either end of May, early June.
Yeah, that.
I still, like you
Because
said,
I'm gonna be gone in
Early
the
June.
middle of May
I'm gonna
for a
be,
week.
yeah, me
Yes.
too,
So it'll be the end of the month or
yeah, or the
June.
beginning of June.
I should be here.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. So, to be determined on that.
Okay.
So, seems like we've covered everything. So I'll entertain a motion to,
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting 11 after 5.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.